Ever wish you had like a cheat sheet on what not to do in your love life?
Yeah.
Well, that's what we're doing today, kinda.
Okay.
This deep dive is all about learning from other people's relationship disasters.
Sounds messy.
Oh, it is. But the idea is that you can avoid making the same mistakes.
I like it.
So we're going to be looking at Ben Stein's book, How to Ruin Your Love Life.
Oh, Ben Stein. Interesting.
Right.
Yeah, he takes this satirical approach, but the psychology underneath it all is really sharp.
Yeah, and what's funny is like Ben Stein himself,
Right.
the guy's a lawyer,
Mm.
an economist, a writer, an actor. He was even a judge on Star Search.
Wow.
So he's definitely seen a lot of human behavior.
Yeah, he's got a unique perspective, that's for sure.
For sure. And in this book, he basically lays out 44 rules for relationship disaster.
44.
44. That's like a reverse roadmap.
Right.
By understanding what not to do,
Exactly.
you can actually start making choices that lead to healthier, happier relationships. So, okay, how did he come up with these rules?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Like, did he just make them up?
No. He based them on actual observations
Okay.
of people who are really good at being alone.
Really?
Yeah, he figured out their patterns and then he kind of twisted them
Ah.
and presented them as like terrible advice.
That's clever. So it's like learn from the masters of being single.
Exactly. Anti-role models.
Okay, I like it.
And what's fascinating is he has these two overarching super rules
Super rules. Okay.
that basically underpin everything else.
Got it.
The first one is, and get ready for this,
Okay.
you are better than anyone else.
Wow. Okay, so starting off strong.
Right. Think about what that does to a relationship.
Yeah.
Like no empathy, no compromise.
You're not seeing your partner as an equal.
Right. You're seeing them as beneath you. Classic narcissistic behavior.
And that's obviously,
A recipe for disaster.
yeah. Okay, so what's super rule number 2?
This one's a gem. Never forgive and never forget.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Right. Holding on to grudges, constantly bringing up past hurts.
Just breeds resentment.
Exactly. It prevents any possibility of moving forward,
Oh, great.
working through issues together. Forget about it.
So right off the bat, Stein sets up this framework of superiority and negativity.
It's almost comical.
It is, but it's scary how true it is.
Right. It highlights how these subtle shifts in mindset, like these super rules,
Yeah.
can have a huge she impact on your relationships.
Yeah, for sure.
And then what he does is break these super rules down
Okay.
into more specific behaviors,
Okay.
which he groups into these clusters.
Clusters. Okay.
So, for example, he has a whole section on what he calls the me first mindset.
Me first. Okay.
And this is where we really see those super rules in action.
Okay, give me an example.
All right, so rule number 1. Know that your wishes are the only ones that matter in any situation.
Whoa.
Your partner's wants, needs, hopes, dreams,
Out a window.
completely irrelevant.
Okay, so how does that play out in real life?
He has this hilarious example, right?
Okay.
A couple's trying to decide what to do on a Saturday night. One person wants to stay home and listen to opera.
Yeah.
The other wants to, drag their partner to a friend's house to watch old movies.
Oh, I've been there.
Right. And guess who wins?
The opera lover.
The one with the me first mindset, of course.
Okay.
And what might seem like, just a small decision
Yeah.
can actually reveal this much larger pattern of prioritizing your own needs over your partner's.
So it's not really about the opera.
No, it's about the underlying dynamic.
Yeah, okay, I see that. What's next?
Rule number 2, rest assured that you know better about every subject than your lover.
Oh my gosh.
Not some subjects, everything.
So you're constantly
Invalidating your partner's opinions,
Right.
their experiences.
it's like you're saying their thoughts don't matter.
Exactly. It creates this environment where they don't feel safe to share.
Yeah, because they're always going to be wrong.
Right. He even suggests that you listen briefly
Briefly.
to your partner, but ultimately dismiss their opinions as low-order blathering.
Ouch.
It's a recipe for shutting down communication,
Tribal.
creating distance. In a healthy relationship, you value your partner's perspective.
Right, even if you don't agree.
Exactly.
Huh.
You recognize that they have valuable insights.
And experiences to share. Okay, so what's the final nail in the coffin for this me-first mindset?
Rule number 3, live your life as if only your feelings count.
Ah, there it is.
This is all about minimizing.
Or disregarding your partner's emotions.
Exactly. You're not attuned to their needs.
You're not responding to their feelings.
You're just focused on your own emotional world.
So what does Stein actually say, like verbatim?
Oh, he gets pretty specific. He says to have no doubt that your partner experiences joy, fear, torment, and despair,
Okay.
but that those feelings don't really count for much in the grand scheme of things.
Well, that's harsh.
Right. But it really highlights how this lack of empathy, this lack of emotional awareness, can create this huge disconnect. You're essentially telling your partner that their feelings are invalid.
And unimportant.
Exactly.
Okay, so these first 3 rules, they paint a pretty clear picture of what not to do if you want a healthy, loving relationship.
Absolutely. But Stein doesn't stop there.
Of course not. There's 41 more to go.
Right. He goes on to describe these specific actions that can inflict serious damage. He calls them weapons of relationship destruction.
Weapons of relationship destruction. Okay, I like that.
And what's interesting is he doesn't just list them. He gives these vivid examples that really bring them to life.
All right, I'm ready. Hit me with one.
Okay, so rule number 4 is point out your lover's imperfections in public.
Oh.
Don't wait for a private moment.
Nope.
Save up all your critiques. And unleash them when you have an audience.
For maximum humiliation.
Exactly. Think about it. Public criticism can be so hurtful, so embarrassing. It violates trust.
Makes your partner feel unsafe.
Exposed. It's the opposite of supportive and loving.
So what's one of Stein's colorful examples?
Ooh, he's got a good one for this one. He talks about this guy.
Yeah.
Accusing his partner of being a mama's boy in front of all his college buddies.
Oh, no.
Just to get a laugh.
That's brutal.
It's using humor.
Right.
To mask aggression and insecurity.
Trying to make yourself look better.
By putting your partner down.
Okay, so what's the next weapon in our relationship-destroying arsenal?
Rule number 5. Never admit that you're wrong or apologize in any dispute.
Oh, that's a classic.
Right. Classic power play.
Being right, maintaining control.
Avoiding any vulnerability.
No room for growth.
Learning. Because you're never willing to acknowledge your own mistakes.
He actually compares this to the divine right of kings.
I love that he does that.
Right. Like, the king can do no wrong.
Appointed by God. It's such a powerful image of self-righteousness.
Yeah, totally. But in a healthy relationship?
You admit when you're wrong. Apologize.
Take responsibility.
That's how you build trust.
Intimacy. He has this example, someone refusing to apologize for calling their partner a slob in front of colleagues.
Oh, man.
It just shows how this lack of accountability, empathy, can just escalate conflict,
And create deeper wounds.
Instead of acknowledging the hurt, they double down.
And blame their partner for being insecure.
It's classic. All right, are you ready for more?
Oh, yeah, bring it on.
Okay, rule number 6. Over-dramatize everything.
Oh, fun.
Don't just have a normal day. Turn every minor inconvenience into a Shakespearean tragedy.
Exhausting.
Right. For the other person, they're constantly walking on eggshells.
Trying to avoid setting you off.
It's volatile and unpredictable.
So, like, what kind of thing are we talking about?
He suggests, like, turning a simple thing.
Okay.
Like someone overfilling a cup of tea.
Into a major screaming match.
Really?
I mean, it's an exaggeration, but it highlights this tendency to magnify conflict.
Okay.
Create drama where none exists.
Like you're looking for things to be upset about.
Exactly. And of course, no relationship-ruining toolkit would be complete without. Rule number 7. Demand expensive gifts from your lover.
Okay, this one's a classic.
Right. Don't settle for mere words or gestures.
Nope.
You deserve tangible proof.
Proof of love. Yep.
It points to this very transactional view of love.
It's not about connection or shared experiences.
No, you're putting a price tag on love and affection.
What does he suggest doing if your partner can't afford those lavish presents?
Oh, he suggests mocking them, preferably in front of other people.
Just to rub it in?
Exactly, like they're not good enough for you.
So it's emotional manipulation.
Control. Using shame and guilt to get what you want. And then, let's say your partner does manage to buy you that diamond ring, that fancy car.
Yeah.
Rule number 8. Never be grateful for the gifts you do get.
So you're just never satisfied.
Ingratitude is a powerful relationship killer. It shows a lack of appreciation.
Right.
Makes the other person feel like their efforts don't matter.
Like nothing they do is ever enough. Okay, so these first 8 rules really lay the groundwork.
They do.
For this, like, self-centered, manipulative behavior that Stein's satirizing.
And it's important to remember that these patterns, they can show up in our own lives.
in subtle ways.
Maybe we're not demanding diamond rings, but maybe we're constantly complaining.
Or expecting our partners to cater to our every whim.
Right. It's about recognizing these patterns.
Becoming aware.
And then making different choices.
Yeah, choosing to act in ways that are more loving, respectful, and supportive. So much to think about already, and we've only just scratched the surface of Ben Stein's How to Ruin Your Love Life.
There's so much more to unpack.
We'll be back after the break to dive into even more of his hilarious and insightful rules. And we'll be looking at the psychology behind them so you can actually create the kind of love life you deserve. All right, we're back and ready to dig deeper into Ben Stein's How to Ruin Your Love Life. I'm kind of amazed by how much we've already learned just from those first few rules.
Yeah, it's pretty eye-opening, isn't it? It really makes you think about those subtle ways we can, sabotage our own happiness.
Totally. And in this next batch of rules, it seems like Stein's really driving home this point about misunderstanding what a healthy relationship is all about.
Right. Like, it's not about power or control or keeping score. It's about partnership. It's about mutual respect.
Which brings us to rule number 9. Remember that love relationships aren't partnerships. They're master-servant relationships. And you are the master.
Whoa, okay, that's a little intense, right?
It is.
Right.
But I think it highlights how some people approach relationships as transactional. Not collaboratives. Like, you're not seeing your partner as an equal.
You're seeing them as someone who's there to serve your needs.
Exactly. Stein argues that sharing is no fun. Why should you be expected to do as much for your partner as they do for you?
It's like you're constantly keeping score.
Instead of working together as a team.
Yeah, you miss out on the joy of mutual giving and support.
He even uses the analogy of a master and a slave in the Old South to really drive home the point.
Okay, so that's a little disturbing.
It is, but it underscores how unequal this kind of dynamic is. There's no respect. And speaking of not valuing your partner for who they are, Stein adds rule number 10. Compare your lover with lovers you've dated in the past.
Oh, gosh, that's got to be rough. Constantly being measured against someone else's exes.
That's brutal.
You'd never feel good enough.
He gives this funny example, but kind of cringeworthy, where someone's bragging about how their ex-girlfriend used to get drunk and take off her blouse and dance on the bar, and their current partner is just sitting there feeling totally inadequate.
Oof, that's awkward.
Yeah, and it's clear that this person isn't really present in their current relationship.
They're still stuck in the past.
Longing for something that probably wasn't even that great to begin with.
And that leads perfectly into rule number 11. Talk about yourself exclusively.
Yes, the classic narcissist playbook.
You're not interested in hearing about your partner's life, their thoughts, their feelings. It's all about you, you, you.
Stein advises against asking your partner any questions or showing any interest in their life.
Just talk and talk and talk.
Until their eyes glaze over.
I mean, think about the impact of that.
It's got to be dehumanizing.
You feel invisible, unheard, unimportant.
And then things take a pretty dark turn with rule number 12. Remember that your lover is your punching bag.
Okay, that's just messed up.
It is. But I think he's trying to highlight how some people take out their frustrations on the people closest to them.
Right. It's a form of emotional abuse.
He even suggests yelling at your partner over, a messy kitchen or a leaky faucet.
Even if they had nothing to do with it.
You're just looking for someone to blame for your bad mood.
And that creates this constant tension. Your partner's walking on eggshells, never knowing when you're going to erupt.
And if they dare to ask what's wrong.
Oh, rule number 13 has got you covered. Act moody and sulky when your lover gets home, but don't tell them why you're sulking.
Oh, the classic silent treatment.
It's passive-aggressive behavior at its finest. You're not communicating your needs directly.
You're just hoping your partner will magically read your mind.
He says to give monosyllabic answers, slam doors, really make it clear that it's your partner's job to figure out what's wrong and fix your mood.
It's so unfair.
Healthy communication means expressing your feelings clearly and respectfully.
It's okay to have bad days.
It's not okay to use your mood to manipulate or punish your partner.
Okay, so we've covered emotional manipulation, but rule number 14 takes things a step further, blurring the lines between a romantic relationship and, basically everything else.
This one's a doozy. Remember that your lover is also your assistant, lawyer, placement officer, apartment finder, and loan broker.
It's like you're turning your partner into your personal concierge service.
You're exploiting them for your own benefit.
He suggests demanding that your partner use their connections to get you a job or an apartment, even if it totally inconveniences them.
There's zero respect for their time, their energy, their boundaries.
And just to make sure your partner knows you don't value them for who they are, Stein throws in rule number 15. Don't for a moment let your lover believe that he's valued just for himself.
Wow. That's a direct hit to their self-esteem.
It's basically saying, I don't care about you as a person. I only care about what you can do for me.
He gives this example where a partner does something really kind and selfless for a coworker, and the rule follower is like, so what good did that do for you? It's all about self-centeredness.
There's no appreciation for their good qualities unless they directly benefit the rule follower.
Exactly. And, we've talked about a lot of behaviors that create distance and resentment, but Stein also has this whole cluster of rules that are designed to just mess with your partner's emotions.
Oh, yeah, those are the ones that really get under your skin.
Right, the emotional manipulation and control tactics.
The things that keep your partner off balance.
And constantly seeking your approval.
Rule number 16 is a classic. Play phone games, that is. Don't return her calls so she can see how cool and aloof you are.
It's the old disappearing act.
It's all about creating that sense of scarcity and uncertainty.
You withhold attention and affection to make yourself seem more desirable.
Stein suggests making your partner absolutely insane by ignoring multiple calls and then calling back nonchalantly as if nothing happened.
I can just imagine the anxiety that creates.
It's playing with someone's emotions.
They're left wondering what they did wrong, if you even care.
It's really messed up. And then it gets even more personal with rule number 17. Make fun of your lover's family.
Ouch. That's a low blow.
It is. It shows a lack of respect for their values, for the people they love.
He suggests mocking their accents, criticizing their achievements, basically making your partner feel ashamed of their family.
It's like you're trying to isolate them, make them more dependent on you.
But it also creates resentment, and it can damage their relationships with their family members.
And of course, no list of relationship-ruining behaviors would be complete without rule number 18. Let it be known that you consider affection to be a chore.
Oh, man, that's gotta hurt.
It does. Physical and emotional intimacy, they're essential for building a strong connection.
But when you treat affection like an obligation or a burden,
it creates distance.
You make your partner feel unwanted.
He gives these examples like sighing dramatically when your partner wants to be close.
Or saying things like, didn't we just do this a week or two ago?
Those dismissive comments can be really hurtful.
They make your partner question their attractiveness.
Their desirability. So we've talked about how to ruin a relationship once you're in one. But Stein also has some advice on how to set yourself up for failure right from the start.
Oh, yeah, how to choose the wrong partners, ignore all the red flags, and just have completely unrealistic expectations.
It's like he's giving you a masterclass in self-sabotage.
Exactly. And rule number 19 is a classic. If you're dating someone who has a lot of problems, is generally a mess, and all of your friends dislike him, get married anyway. Marriage will cure all of your problems.
Oh, the magical thinking. It's believing that a piece of paper will somehow transform someone's personality.
You're signing up for a project, not a partnership.
It's this fantasy that your love is so powerful, it can turn a perpetually grumpy person into a ray of sunshine.
But people can only change if they're willing to do the work themselves.
You can't force someone to be happy, no matter how much you love them. And it's not just about choosing someone who's unhappy, it's about going for people who are unavailable. Rule number 25. Only pursue men or women who are already taken.
Ah, yes. The thrill of the chase.
It's about seeking validation, attention.
Not about building a genuine connection.
Stein jokes that many of the world's most charming people are already hitched.
So why not set yourself up for disappointment?
Exactly. And then there's rule number 32, which is all about ignoring the influence of family. If your lover has parents who are simply intolerable, believe in your heart that he or she will turn out totally, or even a little bit different from those parents.
The apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Right, exactly. While people can evolve, family dynamics have a huge impact on us.
On our personalities, on our relationship patterns.
So if your partner's parents are constantly fighting, or they're super critical, Stein says to just ignore all that.
Assume your partner will be totally different.
It's about denying reality and hoping for the best.
But it's important to be aware of those patterns.
To have honest conversations about how their family might affect your relationship. So we've talked about choosing the wrong partners.
Right.
But Stein also has a whole bunch of advice on how to prevent connection once you're already in a relationship.
These are the everyday behaviors that chip away at intimacy, create distance.
It's like he's saying, okay, you've managed to find someone who might actually be good for you. Now here's how to screw it up.
Exactly. And rule number 26 is a classic. Always look your worst. Or at any rate, don't bother to look your best.
So we're not just talking about physical appearance here.
No, it's about neglecting your well-being.
Not putting any effort into the relationship.
He jokes about wearing dirty clothes, getting fat.
Basically, making yourself as unattractive as possible.
The idea is that your partner should just accept you as you are.
Flaws and all.
But there's a difference between being comfortable and being complacent.
Right. In a healthy relationship, you care about how you present yourself to your partner.
You want to look and feel your best.
For them and for yourself.
And then we have rule number 27. Be consistently surly and unfriendly.
Oh, this one's a mood killer for sure.
You're creating a negative, unpleasant atmosphere.
It's not just having a bad day, it's a choice.
A choice to be grumpy and unapproachable.
He suggests responding to questions with contempt, making it as hard as possible for anyone to be your friend.
Let alone your lover.
You're building a wall around yourself.
It's impossible for anyone to get close.
And if, by some miracle, you do manage to get a date despite your surliness, rule number 28, act like a big baby.
Oh, the immaturity.
It's all about being self-absorbed.
Inconsiderate.
You just want to talk about yourself and your problems.
Not interested in getting to know the other person.
He suggests talking nonstop about yourself, complaining constantly, bragging wildly.
And going on and on about your exes.
A surefire way to ruin a date.
Yeah, you're sending a clear message, I'm not interested in a real connection.
And just in case that wasn't enough, he adds a bonus tip to Rule 28.
Oh no, what is it?
Make alcohol and or drugs the third partner at each and every social interaction.
Substance abuse is a serious issue.
It can damage your relationships, your health, everything. Okay, so let's say you've somehow managed to stumble into a relationship despite all these self-sabotaging behaviors.
Right, somehow you found someone who sees something in you.
Well, Stein has plenty of advice on how to ruin it once you're in the door.
Time to create some conflict, erode that trust.
Make your partner's life a living hell.
Sounds lovely.
One of my favorites is rule number 29. Take total possession of your lover's home.
Oh, so it's not enough to be a guest.
Nope. You got to mark your territory, establish dominance. It's a major boundary violation.
You're treating their home like your own personal playground.
He suggests leaving your clothes everywhere, redecorating without asking, eating all their food.
Reading their mail, their email.
It's like you're trying to erase their identity and replace it with your own.
You're making them feel invaded, suffocated. And then we have rule number 33. Act out of jealousy any old time you feel like it.
Ah, the green-eyed monster.
Jealousy is a normal emotion, but
when it's taken to an extreme, it's toxic.
It creates this atmosphere of suspicion, mistrust.
Stein encourages you to go completely bonkers over any perceived slight, real or imagined.
See your partner talking to someone of the opposite sex. Accuse them of cheating.
Find an old photo of them with an ex. Throw a tantrum.
Your partner feels like they're constantly being watched and judged. And then we have rule number 34. Trust that first flush of love, affection, and sexual excitement, and know that it will last forever.
Oh, the honeymoon phase.
Mistaking infatuation for lasting love.
That initial rush of hormones, it's powerful.
But it's not a sustainable foundation.
Stein encourages you to make major life decisions based on that first burst of passion.
Like lending money, giving away keys to your apartment.
Proposing marriage after a few dates.
It's a recipe for heartbreak.
It shows a lack of understanding about how love evolves over time. And just when you think he's run out of bad advice, Stein throws in a few more gems, like rule number 35. Develop an intense relationship with someone with severe personal problems and believe in your heart that you can change him.
There's that savior complex again.
Ignoring red flags.
Believing your love will magically heal someone's deep-seated issues.
Then there's rule number 36, always a crowd pleaser. Have an affair with your lover's best friend or roommate and trust that she'll never find out or even care.
Betrayal.
One of the most devastating things that can happen in a relationship.
It shatters trust.
And then we have rule number 37. Pretend to be someone you're not.
Lie about your job, your finances, your background.
The bigger the lie, the better.
Honesty and authenticity, those are essential for building a strong foundation.
When you start with deception,
you're setting yourself up for failure.
Rule number 38. Get involved in your lover's family business.
Oh, because nothing says healthy boundaries like mixing work, family, and romance.
It's about overstepping, disrespecting your partner's need for separation. And finally, we have rule number 39. Believe in your heart that there's always someone better just around the corner, and treat your current lover like he or she is merely a temporary substitute for the real thing.
Always looking for something better.
Never fully present in the relationship.
It's a guaranteed way to prevent any real intimacy or connection.
It leads to a lifetime of superficial relationships, missed opportunities for genuine love. So many bad relationship tips packed into this book.
Right. It's overwhelming.
It is. But I think it's important to remember that Stein is using satire
to highlight these destructive patterns.
And by recognizing them, we can actually choose to act differently.
We can build healthier, happier relationships.
Absolutely. Stay tuned for the final part of our deep dive, where we'll unpack even more of Stein's hilarious and insightful rules, and most importantly, we'll discuss how you can apply these lessons to your own life. All right, we're back for the final part of our deep dive into Ben Stein's How to Ruin Your Love Life. We've covered a lot of ground.
We have. Self-centeredness, emotional manipulation, just a whole lot of bad relationship advice.
It's been a wild ride. But one thing that really stands out to me is how Stein emphasizes the importance of choosing the right partner.
Yeah, he has this whole cluster of rules about making disastrous partner choices, right?
Exactly. Like ignoring red flags, having unrealistic expectations, basically going for the people who are most likely to make you miserable.
It's like he's saying, if you want to ruin your love life, here's how to pick someone who'll help you do it.
Rule number 21 is a perfect example.
Yeah.
Have a relationship with someone who's never happy and is always down in the dumps. And believe you can change him and make him happy.
Oh, the classic savior complex. Thinking you can fix someone else's problems with enough love and dedication.
It's like you're signing up for a project, not a partnership.
And it's based on this fantasy that your love is so powerful it can transform a perpetually grumpy person into a ray of sunshine.
But the reality is, people can only change if they want to. You can't force someone to be happy.
Exactly, no matter how much you love them. And it's not just about choosing someone who's unhappy. It's about going for people who are unavailable. Rule number 25. Only pursue men or women who are already taken.
Ah, yes, the forbidden fruit.
It's about seeking validation, attention.
Rather than building a genuine connection with someone who's actually free to be with you.
Stein jokes that many of the world's most charming people are already hitched.
So why not set yourself up for disappointment?
Exactly. And then there's rule number 32, which is all about ignoring the influence of family.
If your lover has parents who are simply intolerable, believe in your heart that he or she will turn out totally, or even a little bit different from those parents.
Yeah, as they say, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Right. While people can definitely evolve and become their own individuals, you can't deny the impact of family dynamics.
They shape our personalities, our relationship patterns.
So if your partner's parents are always fighting or super critical, Stein's advice is to just ignore all that.
Pretend it won't affect your relationship.
It's about denying reality and hoping for the best.
But you got to be aware of those patterns and have honest conversations with your partner about how their family might influence things.
So we've talked about choosing the wrong partners, but then Stein shifts gears and gives us all this advice on how to prevent connection once you're actually in a relationship.
Oh yeah, these are the everyday behaviors that chip away at intimacy.
Create distance between partners.
Like he's saying, okay, you've miraculously found someone who might be good for you. Now here's how to mess it up.
Rule number 26 is a classic. Always look your worst, or at any rate, don't bother to look your best.
So we're not just talking about physical appearance here.
No, it's about neglecting your well-being, not putting in any effort.
He talks about wearing dirty clothes, getting fat, basically making yourself as unattractive as possible.
The idea is that your partner should just love you unconditionally no matter what.
Right. Flaws and all.
But there's a difference between being comfortable and just letting yourself go.
Exactly. In a healthy relationship, you care about how you present yourself to your partner.
You want to look good, feel good, for them and for yourself.
And then we have rule number 27. Be consistently surly and unfriendly.
Oh yeah, that's a guaranteed way to create a negative vibe.
It's like you're choosing to be grumpy and unapproachable.
He suggests responding to questions with contempt, making it as hard as possible for anyone to be around you.
You're basically pushing people away. And if, by some miracle, you do manage to snag a date despite your best efforts to be repulsive, rule number 28, act like a big baby.
Talk about a turnoff.
It's all about being self-absorbed, inconsiderate.
He suggests talking nonstop about yourself, complaining constantly, bragging wildly.
Going on and on about your exes. It's like a masterclass in how to ruin a date.
And for the grand finale, he adds this bonus tip to Rule 28.
I'm almost afraid to ask, what is it?
Make alcohol and some other drugs the third partner at each and every social interaction.
Oof. Substance abuse is a serious issue. It can really damage your life and your relationships.
No kidding. Okay, so let's fast forward a bit. Let's say you've somehow managed to stumble into a relationship despite all these self-sabotaging behaviors.
Somehow you found someone who sees the good in you.
Well, Stein has plenty of advice on how to ruin things once you're in the door.
Time to unleash the chaos.
One of my favorites is rule number 29. Take total possession of your lover's home.
So it's not enough to just be a guest. You have to completely take over.
Exactly. It's all about marking your territory.
It's a major boundary violation.
He suggests leaving your clothes everywhere, redecorating without asking, eating all their food.
Reading their mail, their email.
It's like you're trying to erase their identity.
Yeah.
Make their home an extension of yourself.
You're going to make them feel invaded, suffocated.
And then there's rule number 33. Act out of jealousy any old time you feel like it.
Unleash the green-eyed monster, right?
Stein encourages you to go completely bonkers over any perceived slight, whether it's real or imagined. See your partner talking to someone of the opposite sex.
Accuse them of cheating.
Find an old photo of them with an ex.
Time for a meltdown.
You're basically creating a toxic atmosphere of suspicion and mistrust. Your partner never feels safe.
They feel like they're constantly being judged.
And then we have rule number 34, which is all about, mistaking that initial spark for everlasting love.
Trust that first flush of love, affection, and sexual excitement, and know that it will last forever.
That honeymoon phase can be intoxicating.
But it's not real life.
Stein actually encourages you to make huge life decisions based on that initial rush of emotion.
Lending money, giving away keys to your apartment, proposing marriage after a few dates.
It's setting yourself up for heartbreak.
You're not seeing the relationship realistically.
And then, just when you think he's run out of bad advice, he throws in a few more gems.
Oh, I'm sure he does. Like what?
Like rule number 35. Develop an intense relationship with someone with severe personal problems and believe in your heart that you can change him.
Ah, yes, the savior complex strikes again. Ignoring red flags, believing you can fix someone else's deep-seated issues.
It's a recipe for disaster.
And then we have rule number 36. Have an affair with your lover's best friend or roommate and trust that she'll never find out or even care.
Oh, wow. That's just, there are no words.
Betrayal at its finest.
Shattering trust, causing irreparable damage.
And then there's rule number 37. Pretend to be someone you're not.
Lie about your job, your finances, your background. Just go all out.
Because honesty and authenticity are totally overrated right now.
Right.
It's like he's forgotten that trust is the foundation of any healthy relationship.
And to really seal the deal, we have rule number 38. Get involved in your lover's family business.
Because nothing says I respect your boundaries like mixing work, family, and romance.
It's a recipe for chaos.
And finally, we have rule number 39, which I think sums up Stein's whole philosophy perfectly.
Believe in your heart that there's always someone better just around the corner, and treat your current lover like he or she is merely a temporary substitute for the real thing.
Wow. Always looking over your shoulder, never fully present, never satisfied.
It's the ultimate form of emotional detachment.
And it leads to a lifetime of superficial relationships. You miss out on the chance for real love.
So there you have it, folks. Ben Stein's How to Ruin Your Love Life in all its satirical glory. It's funny, it's cringeworthy, but ultimately I think it's a really insightful look at how we can sabotage our own happiness.
Absolutely. It's a reminder to be self-aware, to recognize those destructive patterns, and to choose a different path.
A path that leads to healthier, happier relationships.
Relationships that are built on respect, honesty, and genuine connection.
We hope you've enjoyed this deep dive and that you'll take these lessons to heart.
And one last thought to leave you with. As you reflect on all these rules, ask yourself which ones hit a little too close to home, which ones made you cringe, or maybe even laugh in recognition that self-awareness is the first step toward growth and creating the kind of love you deserve.